Two of the most devastating, aggressive, and feared inside fighters in heavyweight boxing history. On one side, the relentless, unbreakable engine of Philadelphia, Smokin Joe Frazier. On the other, the terrifying, explosive ferocity of Brooklyn's Iron Mike Tyson. When two unstoppable forces refuse to take a single step backward, someone is going to sleep. Who survives this heavyweight war? Let the simulation begin. Born in the unforgiving streets of Brownsville, Brooklyn, Mike Tyson was a product of a harsh environment. Sent to the Tryon School for Boys, his raw, terrifying physical strength was quickly recognized, but it was under the guardianship and visionary coaching of legendary trainer Cus D'Amato in the Catskill Mountains that Tyson was molded into a boxing prodigy. D'Amato didn't just teach him how to punch, he programmed him. Tyson mastered the peekaboo style, a highly aggressive defensive posture focusing on relentless head movement, slipping, bobbing, and explosive, devastating counterpunches thrown with terrifying leverage. At just 20 years old, Tyson shattered records to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He was an absolute intimidation machine. Tyson possessed an aura of pure menace, winning fights in the locker room before he even made his iconic walk to the ring. His combination of blinding hand speed, unnatural knockout power in both hands, and feral, calculated aggression made him a global phenomenon and one of the most feared men to ever put on gloves. While Tyson was forged in Brooklyn, Joe Frazier's unbreakable strength was born in the rural South, working on a farm in Beaufort, South Carolina. He built the foundation of his legendary left arm as a young boy by repeatedly hitting a heavy burlap sack filled with rags, corn cobs, and Spanish moss. Relocating to Philadelphia as a young man, Frazier developed his relentless, swarming style in the city's gritty, unforgiving gyms. Smokin Joe was the ultimate blue-collar warrior. Standing at just 5'11", he was undersized for a heavyweight, but he compensated with a heart that simply could not be broken. Frazier was characterized by his constant rhythmic bobbing and weaving, an engine that never stopped pushing forward, and arguably the single greatest, most devastating left hook in the history of boxing. He famously handed the greatest Muhammad Ali his first professional defeat in the epic fight of the century, proving to the world that his iron will and terrifying conditioning could break even the most legendary of champions.
If the greatest minds in boxing history sat ringside to analyze this hypothetical clash of titans, the breakdown would be intense. George Foreman, who famously fought Frazier, would emphasize the physical danger. "I fought Joe Frazier. Joe is like a machine that does not know how to go backwards. He just keeps coming." But Mike Tyson in his prime was a completely different kind of monster. The speed of Tyson's combinations, the way he throws 4 punches before you can blink, that would be the real immediate danger for Joe early in the fight. Legendary trainer Teddy Atlas would look at the psychology. This is a fight for real estate. Both of these men want to occupy the exact same space in the center of the ring. Frazier needs to drag Tyson into the late rounds, to drown him in deep water. But to do that, Joe has to survive the first 4 rounds, and in those first 4 rounds, Mike Tyson is the most dangerous fighter who ever lived. Muhammad Ali would respect the heart. Tyson hits hard, very hard, but Smokin Joe took my best shots. He took George's best shots. Joe Frazier does not quit. If Tyson hits him flush and Joe smiles and keeps walking forward, we are going to find out what Mike Tyson's heart is really made of.
How did Mike Tyson prepare for a fight? Tyson's preparation under Kevin Rooney in the Catskills was Spartan, obsessive, and almost militaristic. He famously woke up at 4 in the morning for his road work, running in the pitch black because he believed it gave him a psychological edge, knowing his opponents were still sleeping. His physical conditioning was immense. He performed thousands of squats, sit-ups, and heavy neck bridges to build his trademark thick, muscular neck, allowing his brain to absorb heavy concussive impacts without shutting down. On the heavy bag, his work was pure destruction. He practiced D'Amato's numbered punching system with bad intentions, focusing specifically on throwing rapid-fire combinations, slipping an imaginary jab to deliver a crushing right hook to the body, immediately followed by a catastrophic right uppercut to the chin. Beyond the physical, Tyson was a boxing scholar. He spent countless hours watching black and white films of classic fighters like Jack Dempsey and Roberto Duran, turning himself into a boxing historian and a sharpened psychological weapon. How did Joe Frazier prepare for a fight? Frazier's fight camps in Philadelphia were a masterclass in pain tolerance, grit, and cardiovascular endurance. Long before Hollywood made it a cinematic trope, Frazier was actually training in a Philadelphia slaughterhouse. How did Mike Tyson prepare for a fight? Tyson's preparation under Kevin Rooney in the Catskills was Spartan, obsessive, and almost militaristic. He famously woke up at 4 in the morning for his road work, running in the pitch black because he believed it gave him a psychological edge, knowing his opponents were still sleeping. His physical conditioning was immense. He performed thousands of squats, sit-ups, and heavy neck bridges to build his trademark thick, muscular neck, allowing his brain to absorb heavy concussive impacts without shutting down. On the heavy bag, his work was pure destruction. He practiced D'Amato's numbered punching system with bad intentions, focusing specifically on throwing rapid-fire combinations, slipping an imaginary jab to deliver a crushing right hook to the body, immediately followed by a catastrophic right uppercut to the chin. Beyond the physical, Tyson was a boxing scholar. He spent countless hours watching black and white films of classic fighters like Jack Dempsey and Roberto Duran, turning himself into a boxing historian and a sharpened psychological weapon. Physically and biomechanically, this is a phenomenal collision of two pressure fighters who desperately want to fight on the inside. Both men are short for the heavyweight division, meaning neither has a jab and move outside game. Mike Tyson holds the distinct advantage in raw hand speed, explosive athleticism, and complex combination punching. His peekaboo defense allows him to create angles that Frazier might not see coming. Joe Frazier, conversely, holds the advantage in cardiovascular endurance and single-shot stamina. His left hook is a singular weapon of mass destruction. Mentally, this is where the fight is won or lost. Tyson relied heavily on intimidation and early dominance. If a fighter survived the early onslaught and pushed back, Tyson could become frustrated and lose his rhythm. Frazier, however, thrived in the darkest, ugliest trenches of a fight. He had an unbreakable will and often grew stronger and more dangerous as the fight progressed. The ultimate deciding factor is timing. Can Tyson's early explosive combinations crack Frazier's iron chin and end the fight early? Or will Frazier's relentless, suffocating pressure break Tyson's spirit in the later rounds? Arena and fighting rules. To truly honor these two heavyweight kings, the arena takes place in the Mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden in New York City.
The atmosphere is electric, replicating a 1980s championship fight night. The arena is thick with cigar smoke, illuminated by blinding, warm, overhead canopy lights, and the crowd is deafening. The rules are traditional championship boxing, 15 3-minute rounds. The fighters wear standard 10-ounce leather gloves. It is scored on the classic 10-point must system. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect, and the referee is instructed to let them work out of the clinch, ensuring a brutal close-quarters war. The opening bell rings, and the crowd instantly erupts. Neither man takes a single step backward. They meet dead in the center of the ring, a violent collision of wills. Tyson explodes immediately, unleashing a blistering 4-punch combination. Frazier bobs under the first 2 jabs, but catches a heavy right hook to the ribs. The impact sounds like a gunshot, but Frazier just grits his teeth and pushes forward, burying his head squarely into Tyson's chest. For the first 4 rounds, it is a phone booth war. Frazier throws short, thudding body shots, trying to drain Tyson's explosive energy. But Tyson's head movement is too sharp. Using his peekaboo technique, Tyson constantly slips outside of Frazier's wider hooks, landing razor-sharp uppercuts that snap Frazier's head back violently. Any normal heavyweight would be unconscious, but Smokin Joe is not normal. By round 6, Tyson is breathing heavily, and Frazier is actually smiling through his mouthpiece. In round 7, Frazier finds his rhythm. As Tyson winds up for a right hand, Frazier brilliantly dips his shoulder and unleashes his signature leaping left hook. It lands flush on Tyson's jaw. Tyson's knees buckle, and he stumbles backward to the ropes for the first time in the fight. The Garden goes absolutely berserk. Frazier swarms him, pouring on the pressure, throwing hooks with terrifying bad intentions. But Tyson shows the heart of a champion. Biting down hard on his mouthpiece, he plants his feet against the ropes. As Frazier winds up for another massive left hook to finish the job, Tyson perfectly reads the timing. He slips underneath Frazier's sweeping arm with blinding speed. In a fraction of a second, Tyson creates the perfect angle. He delivers a devastating right hook to Frazier's body, freezing the Philadelphia legend in his tracks, immediately followed by a catastrophic, perfectly placed right uppercut that lifts Frazier completely off his feet. Before Frazier can even begin to fall, Tyson finishes the sequence with a lightning-fast left hook to the temple. Frazier crashes to the canvas heavily. He tries desperately to rise, his iron will fighting against his failing body, but his legs simply will not obey. The referee counts to 10, waving his hands in the air. The fight is over. Madison Square Garden shakes with the roar of the crowd. The feral aggression instantly vanishes from Mike Tyson's eyes. He walks directly past his celebrating corner, helping the legendary Joe Frazier to his feet in a deep, respectful embrace. In this epic simulation, the winner by knockout is Mike Tyson. While Frazier brought an unparalleled level of toughness and a terrifying left hook, Tyson's prime speed and defensive mechanics were simply too sharp. Frazier's style of leading with his head and absorbing punches to get inside played directly into the kill zone of Tyson's most devastating weapon, the right uppercut. Tyson's explosive combinations allowed him to land multiple fight-ending strikes in the blink of an eye, proving his prime power was an absolute force of nature. It's your turn. What an absolutely incredible heavyweight war here on Quiet Power. The unbreakable will of Joe Frazier met the terrifying, explosive speed of Mike Tyson. Do you agree with this outcome? Could Frazier have dragged Tyson into the deep waters, or was Tyson's speed always going to find the knockout? Drop your boxing theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this epic simulation, please hit that subscribe button and leave a like. Next up, we are heading straight back to the golden era of 1970s martial arts cinema. The charismatic karate champion and absolute icon of style, Jim Kelly, steps up to face his legendary co-star, the one and only Bruce Lee.
You do not want to miss this clash of speed, swagger, and Jeet Kune Do. Stay legendary.